The Jaegers and the Kaiju are back, and the world has been enjoying some monster-free time since the last film, but unfortunately, life has not gone back to the way it was before the invasion. Some of the cities were rebuilt, but others were left destroyed, which made it ripe for thievery, so people will run in and steal whatever they can get their hands on to sell back for profit. Suddenly, a new drone Jaeger program is introduced, but things are not quite as they appear. So, does Pacific Rim Uprising deliver on the monster fighting robot goodness that we expect from this franchise? Or should we bury this film in the breach? Let's go ahead and talk about it in this review. For me, this film felt more like a spin-off to the Transformers franchise than it did a sequel or follow-up to the Pacific Rim movie. The way the robots moved, the way the robots looked, the way you'd have explosions going off during action sequences, and they'd focus on one character and then the camera would do like a slow pan around that character. It was all just a little too familiar to the Transformers franchise and specifically Michael Bay's directing style. Other than that though, the movie looked great. The monsters looked great, the robots looked great, and the action sequences with them fighting each other, they look great too. Towards the end of the film, when three kaiju come together with the help of these tiny little droids that appear out of nowhere, that they come together to create a super kaiju monster, even that super kaiju monster looked great. And yeah, that's a total pull from Voltron and Power Rangers, etc. But hey, it worked for this movie, the giant super kaiju monster looked cool, and it actually added a nice little element of like increased tension to the story. Unfortunately for us though, this film did carry some qualities in it from the first Pacific Rim movie. Specifically, bad acting and poor dialogue. Now, if you saw the first Pacific Rim movie, you know that the acting and the dialogue in that were not great. And again, this film just carries that tradition. The acting and the dialogue all felt like something that you'd get from like a young adult movie geared specifically for like a more teenage audience. That being said though, taking that negative out of the picture, the story is surprisingly well constructed. Predictable, but well constructed. We have the reluctant hero coming-of-age tale that runs from beginning to end. We have a soldier who's holding on to that grudge, and then by the end of the film, we see him let go of that hate, sacrifice himself, and eventually, by the end of the film, we see him become the hero. And finally, there are some nice connecting plot points in this film that thread everything together from the first film and this one to really build out this universe. However, it is a very predictable story. However, again, they do a great job building the tension and then resolve, and then building the tension to a greater threat and then resolve. However, for a third time. They do it one too many times, and that actually did produce an eye roll from me in the theater, and it got to such a level of absurdity, it did produce an audible laugh out loud for me while I was watching the movie. Pacific Rim Uprising is playing at your local movie theater right now, and if you enjoyed the first movie and you just want to see robots fighting monsters with a lot of downtown destruction, then this is the movie for you. If you are the type of person who enjoys quality acting and quality dialogue, you are going to want to avoid this film like a coworker who has the flu during flu season. I personally enjoyed the portions of the film that I really wanted to see, which were the robots fighting the monsters. The other parts of the movie I could have seen less of and probably enjoyed this movie a little bit more. And because of that, this film is getting 0 high fives from this guy. Pacific Rim Uprising is playing at your local movie theater right now.